All right, guys. So here I'm going to read you pages 256 through 259, first section of this lesson. On these first two pages, it says for the act of reading, as you read these pages, underline the names of engineered devices. So as I'm reading it to you, as you've already read it yourself, go ahead and underline those. And at the end of this little section video, I'll kind of go over some of those things that I see. Now, I don't know about you, but when I come to pages like this, nonfiction text, we have to make sure we read all the captions because a lot of the stuff that we need to do is in the captions. And what better place to start than the pictures? So that's where I'm going to start. So I'm going to start with the little bubble there with the guy. Looks like he's designing a car of some sort or something. Engineered devices, such as computers, help us solve many problems. Engineers use computers and hand-drawn diagrams to plan their designs. And that's still true today, guys. They don't just use computers. Yes, they do use computers to design, but sometimes pencil and paper is the easiest way to do something. It's quicker, it's faster most times. You can erase it, you can see what you did before, you can overlap copies on top of each other if it's with stenciling paper. So they still use that today, just like that you see in the picture. But you also see a couple people using computers and a cell phone to also do those similar things. Over on the side there, it also says on 257, sometimes engineers design devices with one purpose in mind: fun. That's what you guys are, right? You guys, when you guys designed your inventions, a lot of them were for fun, more out of necessity, instead of necessity for a problem that you see. And the last one up there says, devices like this CT scanning machine allow doctors to see inside the body without needing for surgery. So there you go. Instead of having to cut people open, doctors decided, hey, we got to invent a machine that can see inside people instead. So there you go. All right, on to the reading of the actual section. Works of ingenuity. Did you brush your teeth this morning? Did you run water from a faucet? Did you ride to school in a car or a bus? If you did any of those things, you used a product of engineering. So there you go, guys. Every one of you every day uses products of engineering without even knowing it. Engineers are problem solvers. They invent or improve products that help us meet our needs. Engineers use their knowledge of science and mathematics to find solutions to everyday problems. This process is called engineering. From the start of each day, we use the products of engineering. Engineered devices are found all around us. They include simple tools and complex machines. Engineers work in many fields. Some design and test new kinds of materials. Some work in factories or on farms. Others work in medical facilities, laboratories. Engineers also design the engines that may one day fly people to Mars. So there you go. Now, I want you to take a second and in the engineering diary right there, list some of the engineered devices that you use every day. Explain the need that each device meets. One example, so you can't use this one, but one example is a toaster. You use that device, is called the toaster. The need for it is that it toasts your food. So there you go. Come up with some other ones that you use every day that are devices, whether they're machines or not, and then tell me what the short need is for it. All right. Some of the underlined things that you may have come up with that are on the page that are for the act of reading. Engineered devices. On the first page, faucet, car, and bus are all there. And then in the bubble, actually, there's the word computers. Over on the page 257, some things that might be underlined would have been simple tools, complex machines in the second paragraph, and the word engines in the third paragraph. And then, of course, the CT scanning machine in the doctor caption would work as well. All right, now on to page 258, 259. So I don't know about you guys, but these two pages are all about bridges, and I think bridges are awesome. I mean, people go to covered bridge festivals all the time. They take pictures of bridges. The engineers that make new bridges just have fun with it, and they try to design the kookiest looking ones of all, kind of like the one on 259. If you look at it, the actual arches come from one side of the bridge to the other, to the other. It's pretty cool. So while we're looking at these pages, that's what I want you to be thinking about is early people and the necessity for a bridge. I mean, it's probably one of the more obvious devices that we've come up with engineering-wise. So looking at those little captions, the first one there on 258 has a guy walking over logs, going over a little creek river type thing. Raise your hand if you've ever had to, go across a log bridge. It's kind of fun. So the first bridge ever built was likely a log. It must not have lasted for very long, right? Because a log bridge that someone made, there was probably a native person, maybe in America or in Africa or in Europe somewhere, and they had to cross over to get to the animals were on the other side of the river. The river was probably pretty deep or rushing really hard, and so these people knocked down or picked up a tree branch from somewhere and tossed it across, and then just walked across it. It's pretty cool to think of the first one. That is an engineering feat. So looking over on the other page, it says people began to build stone bridges thousands of years ago. Some are still in use today. Truss bridges represent a new engineering design. Wood and later metal was used to build these structures. And then finally, that one down below, engineered materials such as steel and cement. What they mean there is the fact that an engineered material is something that we had to make. Cement you can't just go find. Somebody had to make cement so then you can use it. Same with steel. Steel is not an element by itself. It's a combination of other metals, so it is technically called an alloy. They're used to make modern bridges strong and safe. All right. So the active reading here, it says circle the paragraphs that describe how engineers solve problems. So you're going to be circling 2 huge paragraphs out of, 3. So go ahead and do that. I probably don't need to review it since it's 2 out of 3. All right. Look around you. You live in an engineered world. Engineers have designed many of the things that you depend on. I mean, you're sitting in one right now. You're sitting at one right now. The table in front of you is engineered. The chair you're sitting in, engineered. There you go. Thousands of years ago, people had few building materials available. Many lived in structures made of wood, animal skins, or even hardened mud. Today, many people live in buildings made of concrete, glass, and steel. Buildings today are designed, manufactured, and tested by engineers. Every engineering marvel begins with the design process. The design process is a series of steps engineers use to solve problems. So that's kind of like what we were talking about with the scientific method over on the wall over there. Scientific method is the process by which scientists test things or do their lab experiments. The design process is how engineers do it. So for example, back in the book, before construction of a new building begins, engineers think about who would use it and how. They carefully select, measure, and test building materials. They also think about how the cost of materials might affect their design. Engineers work like scientists. They identify and define a problem. They research how similar problems have been solved in the past. Engineers test their designs and keep a record of their work for others to repeat. So this is what I've been telling you guys all year. We got to learn from our mistakes or the mistakes of others. If somebody else designed a building and it fell down in an earthquake, well, the next person will redesign the building and hopefully make some changes based on what they think might have happened in the earthquake. Now, do the little activity here for me. It says, each bridge design on these pages meets the same human need. Each helps people cross a gap or a body of water. Why do you think bridge design changed over time? So what do you think made it, what was the problem they had to solve? I mean, the basic need is getting over the water, right? What do you think they had to solve? Why did they change? Why wasn't a log good enough later on in life or in time? And why do we have really huge bridges now? Why aren't they all just big log bridges going across? So write something down in there. And you know what? For this one, I want you to go ahead and take a picture of the thing in your book and then send it to me on my email. That way I can check that you completed these pages. All right, thanks guys, and I'll see you on the next video.